Hey, welcome back to Slip Joint Display. Today we're looking at a couple of Great Eastern Cutlery 54s from 2017. These are both knife number 542117, the single big jack. Let's get into these models. So in 2017, Great Eastern Cutlery re-released the 54s. It wasn't the first year that they had released them, but in 2017 I was in the game and I was buying stuff, and these came out and I picked both of these up. Both of these knives are Northfield trim, so what you're talking about is mirror polished blades, long pulls, fluted bolsters. Both have a leaf shield and both are bone handled knives. Tube-wise, standard stuff, Northfield unexcelled. But the other thing about these two knives is that they're both SFOs from DLT Trading. So special factory order DLT Trading, special factory order DLT Trading. Let's clear the deck a little bit. So, the first one here, the bone is blood red jig bone. So, and this is two very different approaches to bone handled knives. But this blood red jig bone, I thought they did really good. I really like it. It's a deep, dark, almost, black in the middle. Makes its way out to red and almost white in the corners. I mean, you can see it really lightens up there as you get to those corners. But I totally dig it. I think they did a good job with it. The jigging looks great. The pins are all good. This one's a little proud, but that's all right. You can catch on the transitions. These are popular models now. I mean, these are pretty highly valued. The second knife is smooth Appaloosa bone. I've had both of these. Both have been sharpened and carried. The blood red jig bone has seen a lot more use. You can see the patina on the blade. It's just spent more time in the pocket. As far as the Appaloosa bone is concerned, still a user, but hasn't seen as much time. I like the Appaloosa bone more. It's more up my alley as far as the style is concerned. Good action on both of these. Good walk and talk. As far as the Appaloosa bone is concerned, Appaloosa bone in knives refers to the die job that's done on the knives. I mean, you hear Appaloosa bone and you think maybe it's a different kind of bone, but it's not. I'm not sure what this particular knife is made of, but it's probably cattle bone. But when they say Appaloosa bone, it refers to the spotted pattern of the die. And it references the Appaloosa horses. Appaloosa horses is a breed of horses that originated in the United States, and they were known for being, I believe, fairly small, but very sturdy horses, and their coats were spotted. Appaloosa bone historically in knives was first done by Case. Now, as far as I could find looking into this, I read that Case first did Appaloosa bone in 1981 on a large trapper. I read that knife number was A6151 SSP, and then I also read that right before release they changed it to 6151 SSP. Again, 1981. When I looked into that farther, I saw examples of Appaloosa bone knives from Case that were said to be 79 and 80. So I'm not sure when Case first put it out, but I think it's probably safe to say that Case first put out Appaloosa bone around 1980. And it went from there. So that's the backstory on Appaloosa bone. And I know that, or at least I read that the knives that Case first did were cattle bone. As far as Appaloosa bone beyond that, just a nice little thing to throw in. What you'll hear in common speak about Appaloosa bone is if somebody goes through something, somebody goes through being sick or gets injured and handles it really well, shows a lot of toughness, after the fact, somebody will say, yeah, they got Appaloosa bone. That guy's got Appaloosa bones, and it just refers to their toughness and resilience inside, being able to deal with it. And that's just a reference to the horses being very sturdy and strong horses internally. But as far as aesthetically speaking, I totally dig Appaloosa bone, and this is an amazing example of it. I mean, Appaloosa bone is always cool just because it's bone with extra character added because of the dye job. But this one, I think, is a really, really good example of it. As far as these models are concerned, the single big jack. So Great Eastern Cutlery has done 54s before. I don't know if this was the first single blade. I know that in the past they had multi-blade 54s, but these were single blades, and so the pattern was called the single big jack. It is a large knife, without being, as far as I'm concerned, without being over the top. This is kind of as far as you want to take it. And one of the things that stands out to me about the pattern is the shape of the spear blade. So these spear blades, it stands out to me that they're very thin, and they're not overly thin. It's just, it's a large knife and it's a large handle. Equal in cigar pattern here. Bolsters on both ends. But the shape of that spear, I mean, if you look at, say, here's an American Jack, also from 2017. And to me, the shape of the spear on the American Jack, it's a wider spear. Whereas the 54s seem to have a thinner spear. You can also look at an 86. 86 has a spear type that reminds me of the 78. And then if we want to go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, here's an 85 with a fat spear. So it's just different approaches to doing a spear point. And I looked into that and I tried to see if there was any history behind the thin spear, and there wasn't. Over various patterns and various, times of production, there were certain knives made with a thinner spear blade. So I don't think there's really much to it other than the company's decision to approach the spear blade being slightly thinner, not as exaggerated, not as much belly. As far as these models are concerned, these are really nice. You see. Yeah, I mean, you can catch at the bolsters, but whatever. The leaf shields are nice. Nice cut swedge. Northfield Unexcelled. And we've got Northfield Unexcelled, made in the USA, and then GEC Titusville Ironworks 542117, and the same on the other blade. The patina on this one's pretty heavy, kind of wild. It has spent more time in the pocket. Good action on these. Neither one is a strike down the middle, but I can dig it anyway. Let's have a look around. Both of these are going to be the same. I'm dealing with a case of the missing tape measure right now, so we're going to have to go old school and use a carpenter's rule here. So 2 3/4 cutting, 3-inch blade, and then 4-inch handle. Yeah, looks like 4-inch solid. And then, of course, everything's going to be the same on this one. So I can dig it. But that is a large knife. I mean, let's look. Even the 86, I think, might be just a step smaller. Yeah, I mean, even an 86 is 3 3/4 handle, whereas these single big jacks are 4 inches. So, yeah, it is a large knife, which, and maybe that's what makes the spear blade stick out to me even more, being thin, is that it is such a large knife. I like the profile of the knife, though. I mean, and that does play into that spear being thin. Not pinchable, maybe if you really work for it. But the pull on these is pretty heavy, so yeah, you kind of have to use the nail nick. I mean, maybe if you get lucky, you can pinch it, but day to day, you're going to be using a fingernail on that. And these are not flush at half. They actually sink in at half stop. So that's interesting. And I'm not sure why. Let's look and see what we can see. I think we're going to have some gaps here. Just some grains of sand on this one. Very little, actually. Yeah, a little bit more in the Appaloosa bone. But let's see if we can see anything from the outside. Nothing on the blood red jig bone. Nothing that stands out on the Appaloosa bone. So, yeah. Nice full-size knives. Man, I've had some offers from people about buying these over the years. These were a popular model, and they're pretty highly valued at this point. I can totally dig it. That Appaloosa bone is great. Look at that. You can look up pictures of Appaloosa horses and see the patterns in their coats. And it immediately makes sense as to why this would be called Appaloosa bone and what they're referencing there. There's a lot happening there. I mean, I even feel like this blood red jig bone is just done right. It does get very light near the corners, but they keep it nice and dark in the middle, and I can dig it. That jigging looks beautiful. Almost looks like fire. Yeah. They did have different releases of these when they came out. I wouldn't mind getting one of these in wood and just throwing it in the pocket, using it as a beater. I don't think I can bring myself to do it with these. I mean, I've carried them, but it's always in a slip. But I could really dig it if this was in wood. Just make it a slipless carry. We'll see. I don't know when GEC is going to put these out again. Hopefully when they do, they stay true to the action of this run, because the action's really good. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you have a 54? Did you have one? Have you seen them and, you know, wished you could get one, but hasn't come around? These don't come around very often at this point, and when they do, they got a pretty good price on them. What are your thoughts on it, guys? Are you interested to see when GEC is going to release them again? What do you think of the size of the knife, the shape of the spear, all that? Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys on the next video.